right. It is Matt Mosley, and this will be the Obstructed View podcast featuring me. And you've seen me on the Doomsday podcast for years in Dallas and then Waco Radio, both on ESPN. So great to be with you, but great to also to be with the Rogue Media Network. So we'll do something more formal, and we'll have all sorts of incredible interviews and that type of thing. But from time to time, thanks to Mike and my guys, Corey and the gang, Zach, we will jump in after a big event. And this certainly was a big event for the Dallas Mavericks, winning Game 4 in impressive style. And at one point, it was 48 points was the deficit. I don't think there's ever been a finals game that got to that point. Shocking 122 to 84 win over the Celtics, Game 4. Now, just so we're clear, and sorry for my voice, struggling a little bit. I've been traveling, but we'll make it through. The Mavs, when you're down 0-3, you know the series is over. It's never been done. There have been teams that have come back to make it 3-3, but no team has ever climbed the mountain. And there have been many, many teams down 3-0. Now, even just last year in the conference finals, the Celtics did make it 3-3 in a series, but could not get over the mountain. I mean, that's a long way away. And it's most likely the Celtics sort of lick their wounds, come back, and get this thing done on their home floor Monday. What this did, in my mind, is you just sort of saved some dignity. You showed some fight. It was a huge response. I was kind of interested. I thought the TV broadcast, the play-by-play man, Mike Breen, was probably, and even Doris to a certain extent. I don't know that JJ was as blown away. Maybe he thought there was some chance the Mavs might do this, but nobody really expected it to be this massive of an effort. And I would say there's good and bad news for Mavs fans. The bad news is, like, you know how close you were in Game 2 and especially Game 3. And you had a 20-2 run in Game 3, and Kidd inexplicably, I mean, it was like 22-4 run, and he calls a timeout. It's like, wait, are you trying to stop the momentum? It was a very strange deal. They end up losing that game. They do cut it to 1, but Luka fouls out, right, with 4 minutes left. Luka takes a beating. Some of it fair. Luka's been way too much of a whiner. Is he the first NBA superstar to whine about calls? No. It got a lot of attention. Now, that said, one of the reasons, the biggest reason they were down 2-0 after the first 2 games, and then even 3-0, I mean, Kyrie did not show up in this series until Game 3, and then he had a massive Game 3. Luka tonight, on a night when he didn't have the 3, I mean, what's crazy is he scores 29, Kyrie has 21, so they combined for 50, and Luka didn't hit a 3. Luka goes 0 for 5 from 3, and he just overpowered the Celtics. They tried to switch everything. He punished them. He forced his way to the rim time and time again, and it was remarkable. The Celtics, I guess, thought that the Mavs might not come out with much level of force, and they thought if they just kind of hung in there, they might have a chance. Well, by early in the second quarter, the game was basically over. It was like close to a 30-point game by halftime. They were completely out of it. There was nothing in them left, and they were lucky to even get it to whatever it ended up, which was like, I was kind of wanting it to be 40, ends up like, I guess, 37 or 38 or whatever, the deficit. I think the Celtics, again, will be fine. This isn't indicative. This isn't like some fatal flaw. They're still up 3-1 in the series. Now, I said the good news, bad news for the Mavs. The bad news is just that you just wonder, like, where was this? Luka comes out, plays, especially by his standards, unbelievable defense, plays tough, bodies up, doesn't complain about calls, smiles a little bit with an impish smile, raises his hand when he fouls, like you would in high school or something. You don't see NBA players do it. He did it, and he was brilliant. So, if nothing else, this game reminds everybody of like how great he is, how he is the best player in this series, and that his future is full of brilliance, and hopefully he's going to have more opportunities. And so maybe this can kind of skew a little bit of what was going to be the big talk, which was he whined too much. He then complained about the officials afterwards. I thought it was funny that Scott Foster, who has a nickname of the Extender. Why is he called the Extender? Because he's known for extending NBA series. And by the way, this is like the 25th finals game he's called. He's recognized as one of the best, not always by the players, maybe not always by the fans, but the NBA believes he's maybe the top official in the NBA, which is how you get 25 finals games over your career. And he's the extender. Now, again, this was such a blowout. I don't think the Celtics or the Mavs or anybody really needed Scott Foster to get them over, but I just thought that was kind of funny that he was doing the game. In addition to Luka, there were a couple of things that stood out. First of all, Derek Lively hits a three in the first half, and his first three he's hit all season. He hasn't attempted a three in the postseason, only had two in the regular season that he attempted, and he hits a three from the corner. Everybody's like, wait, I didn't know Derek Lively shot threes. This rookie's been great. He's a great inspiration. He's a wonderful story. He's been tremendous in every possible way. If the guy can shoot threes, oh my goodness, like we could unlock a whole nother avenue, a whole nother part of his game. So that was great. On the ensuing defensive play, he gets a block. Then he comes racing back down and gets an alley-oop. I mean, Exum. The game was, still within somewhat doubt early in the second quarter. It's 36-21. Mavs up by 15, but that's by no means. We saw the Celtics erase that in the first, in game two when the Mavs had a nice big lead, and they erased it in a hurry. The Mavs built on it because Dante Exum hits a layup, then hits a three. That puts them up 39-21, and Luka did the rest. Before you could sneeze, it's 45-25. Then it's 48-25, and the ball game's over. The Celtics never challenged. And much like Pop, Greg Popovich, known for pulling the plug early in a game, Coach Mazzulla did not mess around and did not try to think that his team could overcome a 35-point deficit. He pulled his players with about 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Mavs with about a minute and a half, minute 45 left. Kid gets his starters out of there. That's great. That's great. It set the stage for a funny fourth quarter where ABC's trying to fill time. Lisa Salters talks Dirk Nowitzki into leaving his courtside seat to come do an interview. Dirk, unfailingly just gracious in every way, does it. Meanwhile, Tim Hardaway Jr. comes in and hits 5 3-pointers. He goes 5 for 6 in the fourth quarter. And God love him, Markieff, of the Morris brothers, of the famous Morris brothers from Kansas. Markieff's in there desperately trying to shoot a three, hit a three. He finally makes one, and everybody celebrates that. So, again, what does it mean? Well, it means the series is not over. Mavs get one more crack at it. Again, I think this thing probably ends Monday. If they won in Boston Monday night, though, and they trail 3-2 coming home, I think Boston starts to feel some pressure. If you somehow got it to a game 7, all bets are off. Now, I think at home, you would see a completely different Boston team with it 3-2, okay, with a 3-2 deficit. Now it's a 3-1 deficit. All you've done is show some fight, make a statement, and do something I don't even think Dirk expected them to do. I remember when the Mavs years ago, the year after the finals, I was there for Fox. It was then called Fox Sports Southwest. It's now called Bally's. And Dirk and the Mavs, a year after winning the title in 2012, they got bounced out of the playoffs quickly. That would have been Oklahoma City, I believe. I say quickly. I know it was the Oklahoma City series, and they were down 3-0. And I remember going up to Dirk and asking him in the hallway about the strategy to wait for the big fish and to break up the championship team. And he gave me some kind of great answer. And he says, it looks like it was a poor decision on our part. And people reacted to that and thought, oh my gosh, look at that. A couple things have happened. By getting this thing to 3-1, before the game, before Friday night's game, as you listen to this, you may be listening on Saturday or even Sunday. Before the game, Jason Kidd said that he thought some of the criticism of Luka crossed over and became a little bit personal, and he thought it got out of hand. Now, whether that's right or wrong, that is a coach having his players, especially his superstars, back. Luka, after tonight's game, just said that's the kind of guy, Jason Kidd is, and he has his players' backs. And I think that meant a lot to Luka. What this allows us to do is watch Luka once again in a hostile environment, an environment in the past, and I'm not talking about just Boston, I'm talking about any postseason environment. He functions extremely well in those types of environments. And we get to see him do it. Now, they'll be all over Kyrie again. They'll be all over Luka. But let's remember, Kyrie now has responded with 56 points in 2 games, and he's been incredible. And tonight, during one of those onslaughts, I think this was second quarter, when they were separating, ball gets kind of thrown out to the corner. He collects it, basically a loose ball, and he finds Luka in traffic heading to the bucket. Extremely heady play, like crazy high-level play that only a few people do, and he can do it. Boy, this earns him a chance to go back to where he did not shoot the ball well and to where he didn't play well. Now, I don't think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are going to stay down for long. But let me say this. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in this game combined for, I think, 24 points. Jaylen Brown had 10, and I believe Tatum had 15. They shot 7 for 22. No one hit threes except Hauser, and the game was already over when he hit threes. No one did anything. There was nothing like Boston got punked in every possible facet of this game. Again, I don't want to make too much of it because they're still up 3-1. And if they win Monday night, the champagne and the celebration and getting the Larry O, it's all going to feel the same. It's all going to feel great. And it'll basically be what is known as the gentleman's sweep. They'll win 4-1. That said, when a team's down 0-3, it's a nice little response to win the game. But when you dominate a team like they did and embarrass them, I don't know what it does. You know, as I'd like to see this series keep going, and I know all our Mavs listeners would like that too. The hope is it not only embarrasses but makes the Celtics question some things, and sort of question even maybe their strategy to a certain extent. They tried to switch everything instead of shooting step backs and only leaning on the three. And the Mavs hit plenty of those, especially Tim Hardaway Jr. late in the game. But Luka, and again, he had Exum hit some big shots. I mean, there were some great shots in this game. Lively hit big shots. Lively was like 12 and 11. He had another double-double. Like, there are stats that show, like, this is like a historical thing for someone his age. I'm talking like 20 and younger to do what he's doing. It's like LeBron. I mean, it's like there's only, when you look at the all-time, okay, how many double-doubles in the postseason or in the finals or whatever, Lively's doing some historical things. But this team goes as far as its superstar. Luka will take them. And in this one game, like, I thought it was so brilliant that, like, he could have, I watched personally, because I was there for game 6 in Miami, I watched LeBron in 2011 spit the bit. And then he said some weird quotes about, like, oh, hey, I get to go on with my great life and everybody else has to go back to work. Okay. Made him look really bad. Now, has he overcome that? Of course he has. But I remember it. And I remember in that fateful game where the Mavs won it on the road, game 6 in 2011, LeBron didn't want the ball. LeBron deferred. Luka may have whined too much. He may have not played enough defense in this postseason or in this finals. But he's never, like, shirked the responsibility. That's where the criticism's gone, like, too far, because, like, he's still doing all the Luka things and scoring a ton of points and carrying the team despite having to get injections for this thoracic condition that he has, a thoracic contusion. He's playing tough. I mean, tonight the Celtics said they could use Porzingis in specific, quote, specific instances that he would be available. Never put him in the game. Understandable. They were out of the game in a hurry. There was never a spot to get him in. But I just, like, the criticism has bordered on questioning his character to a certain extent. Kind of like, as a basketball player, doesn't care to play defense, whining too much. Some of that's fair. But, like, does anybody get credit for, like, getting to the finals? Like, I mean, nobody, when the postseason started and they started rolling through Clippers, OKC, Timberwolves, like, they really, from a seeding standpoint, shouldn't have been favored in any of those series. So I think sometimes we get so captured in the moment. Like, I don't quite understand how you just go so strong with that one narrative. Oh my gosh, he's not playing D and he's whining too much about the calls. And then it becomes, this guy's not, it's like we do these weird things where it's like, he's not LeBron. He's not, oh really? Okay, that, you mean the guy who's been to the finals like 10 times and is about 40 years old now? He's not like Michael. I saw a headline like that on ESPN.com today. He's not Michael or LeBron. It's like, give me a break. He's 25 in the finals for the first time. So I don't want to be, okay, I don't want to be just a huge Luca apologist, but some of the stuff, and I don't even mind the Windhorse stuff. Like he's the one who got a lot of the whatever attention for some of the things he said. But Brian, who I've known over the years a little bit, is a showman. And so what he was doing this whole he kind of has this way where he points and does things, and that's fine. So I again, were they getting too personal? Maybe, maybe not. But I think Kidd having his superstars back was huge. Okay, so here's what we'll do. From time to time, whether it be a Baylor event, huge Big 12 football game, Mavs finals, Rangers in the World Series, Cowboys, something big Cowboys. And I want to encourage all of you also. Rogue Media Network is producing now the production company for the Doomsday Podcast, which I started with Ed Werder several years ago. A very popular NFL podcast. So always listen to that. And then you can listen to this new Matt Mosley, and we'll put clips up and we'll let you see it. And we'll start kind of rolling it out. I've already got some interviews planned for next week, and we'll kind of get through the summer, and then we'll just get it rolling like crazy in the fall. So really appreciate Rogue for putting this together. I look forward to doing this, and I love sort of reacting to breaking news. You can hear me on the radio in Waco, ESPN Central Texas. That's 4 to 6 Monday through Friday. You can listen to the Doomsday Podcast, or you can just watch this new podcast where I kind of talk about a variety of things. And it gives us a chance to kind of delve into it a little more. We'll have fun. And I love all the guys at Rogue. Now, game 2, and we may do another, or excuse me, game 5. We may do another one of these after that. Monday night, 7:30 start, tip. Going to be in Boston. And enormous test for the Mavs. But the fact that they get to have the test, and the fact that, like, there's really no reason to go in there nervous. The series, in a lot of people's minds, was already over. You've extended the series. If you take a close game into the fourth quarter, the building is going to be kind of freaked out, because the Boston Celtics falling to actually only having a 3-2 lead would really start to feel crazy. What are the odds of it happening, of the Mavs coming all the way back and winning the championship? I don't know what the betting odds are, but I would just tell you it's about a 1% chance. Okay. But there's a chance. And again, it's never happened, but for many years, a 16 hadn't beat a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. It's now happened like twice in the past, 5, 6 years. So these things do happen. It's bound to happen at some point. I don't think the Mavs have the horses to do it. They do have 2 superstars. Kyrie has yet to put on a show at his old place, which is TD Garden. Could he on Monday night? Absolutely. And then if you come home and tie this thing up, then it would be this would become one of the most exciting finals of the past 20 years. It really would, if you somehow got it to that point. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's see what the Mavs do. But right now, I find it comical that websites, newspapers, whatever, had already been talking about what the Mavs will do in free agency. It's not free agency time yet. The season is still going, and now the Mavs will try to make this thing free too. And if they somehow pull it off, and here's the thing, I don't think there's a bone in his body that thinks he can't do it. And I don't think Kyrie. I think Kyrie is going to go in there pretty loose. Now, does that mean he's going to shoot the ball great? Does that mean Exum's going to have a good game? Does Lively? No. Luka really is the only player that's played well in Boston. And of course, he gets ripped for it. And he's like the only reason they had a chance in game two for the most part. So we'll watch. This is going to be exciting. And boy, I appreciate you guys being with me. Matt Mosley's Obstructed View podcast. We'll toy with that a little bit, but we'll get this out there and let the multitudes follow and react to this. And also check us out on YouTube. We'll be on Spotify, Apple, wherever you find us. But I think you'll really enjoy that YouTube page. Rogue has some incredible stuff on there. Lots of great shows. And this is one of the new ones. All right. I appreciate Rogue and appreciate you, Mike, being up late tonight. And we'll do it again soon, perhaps as soon as Monday night. Really appreciate everybody. Everybody have a great one, and we will talk to you soon.
We are Rogue Media Sports.